it's a hot, it's a nice south. It's a hot weather. But hey, bro, everybody is on that life down here. Everybody is like chilling, takes a break during the afternoon. Yeah.
But as you said, and something I've talked to Jay a lot about as well, and I think that this mentality is kind of what I'm like the OG mentality. When I was talking to Seb and he was like, when I was considering coming on board, like that's something I already buy into. Like it's the process that counts. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's about being sure that you're doing it in the right way with the right people. And the same goes with how you should live your life. The relationships that you have are the most valuable. Who I have in my circle, no matter work, Kyle, is what counts.
I think that the values or the statements are easy for people to agree, but are extremely hard to live by.
Of course, simple, not easy.
So hard.
Like I didn't live by that. Like I definitely, since becoming a talent, I lived with it maybe for a year, and then suddenly it all became about let's just fucking get this new job. Let's get it over with. Let's get the money. You know, like I stopped really enjoying it. Partly because of, 100% because of me, but also the circumstances around me just kind of forced me into that way of thinking.
Well, it definitely negatively impacted my relationships as well. And it's one of the key reasons I'm glad I'm not a talent anymore, though I did love it, because you have to represent, like Rich is a great way of putting it, because he says like, to succeed as a talent, like you have to be able to separate yourself from who you are as a brand. So there's Kyle, and the Kyle on screen is virtually identical to how I am in person, but that feedback that person gets they're not saying you're a shit person. They just maybe don't like your product. So the problem is that you're putting yourself into this brand and you're giving your energy and your positivity. And even if it was a really shitty day and you're having family issues, or you maybe just woke up feeling sad, you have to be happy and excited, because that's what you're hired to do. But then you give that energy to the people, like you're being paid to give them that energy. And then you don't have as much of it to take back and try to do the same in your real life or in your real relationships. And it was the same as a Dota player. You've got to be as positive as you can around your teammates, and you spend way too much time with them, and you end up neglecting your personal ones, which ultimately are the ones that matter. Because I don't know if maybe you're different, Johan, but it's quite sad because there's players I've lived with for years that I just don't talk to anymore. And it's been pretty standard that when you play with someone, you talk to them constantly. They might be your best friend and roommate, but as soon as you don't play together anymore, that's it.
That's it.
Well, that depends then. How was your relationship defined, or like how deep did it go, and did you ever talk about it? Because sometimes maybe you can blame it on yourself too, like parts of it.
For sure.
Like I completely resonate with what you're saying. I also wish it was different with many more players I played with. Like, truth be told, there's only, I think, Seb that I talk to on a more than monthly basis. The rest is, even almost fucking not bi-yearly, like half a year. Sorry, the other one. But yeah, it's super rare sometimes, and I wish those relationships maybe got a bit deeper. But at the same time, I also think a lot of these is okay that they were, professional while personal. And then once you remove the professional, it also gets less personal. At least I'm okay with drawing that line for a lot of them. As in, I'm also more open, but I also get it. Like, we live different parts of the world. We're so far apart. Like, and it's not same for me. It's not fun, as fun and as easy to do sometimes. And I have the same relationship with my family sometimes. I like to be more in contact with the people who are close to me, but and I like be less on the phone. But yeah, and then so it is. Like, I don't know. I think taking every relationship serious is a good way to approach it. Even the ones you meet for the first time in your life.
Yep, and that's something that part of why I love talent was because that was when I got to see my friends, because we would all work together. And there's like this running joke that, Kyle threw this event, and just because he's paying us to hang out with him was the joke at Omega
League. He pays me to hang out with him. That's why we hang out together.
Is it a good rate?
Not as good as yours. So I've realized, and it's really cool that, I am an adult and I have, albeit limited,
go that far.
control
to say that you're
over my life. If I want to maintain a relationship with somebody, I can put effort into doing that. The work be damned. And all it takes for a relationship to continue and for a friendship to thrive is a mutual desire. it doesn't mean you have to talk necessarily all the time, but there's people that like I miss terribly, and when we hang out, like I'd still be welcome on their couch for a week, and that's always going to exist because there's a mutual desire for us to preserve that relationship, and that's what I want to put more time on and always have a focus on, because that to me is the dream. Like, what's the use of having a villa if you don't have friends to sip wine and look at the trees with? Because if you're not happy with a coffee shared with a close friend, you're not going to be happy with a yacht, no matter what. Some of the best nights of my life and my fondest memories always were just people that I loved doing some stuff together, like street food in Malaysia at 4 or 5 a.m. Nasi lemak, some shisha, and a Milo dinosaur for $3. Like that's one of my favorite nights of my life.
I would say that
I can relate.
I like what you're saying. I think it's a little bit reductive because I find happiness on other things, but I'm glad that you find it that way, Like, yeah, like
what would you choose? What would you choose, Jay? What would be your happiness?
I don't
like moment.
So let's say that I am an introvert extrovert. I can be around people.
Ambivert.
But I have to constantly be putting the energy in, like every single time I'm with people, I like it. But after 3 hours, I was like, okay, I'm done with you people for the next 2 days,
Your energy is
I'm
gone.
Gone. Bye-bye.
Well.
I need to go home. And I, for example, do better with only me and someone, So me and Kyle, we can hang out and I can maintain that energy, let's say, for a very long time. Groups of 3 or 4, gone. 2 hours, I'm done. So I find such an amazing pleasure and stability of just getting a book and reading, or playing with my cat, and there's nothing else, nobody's bothering me, being on the beach surfing and there's no one around. That solitude, it really fills me with joy.
But I think most people are like that. I think very few people don't have any of that. I think most people at some point get fed up with each other, need breaks, need solitude. I think it's very rare that you find people that need none of it. But I also think most people can't deal with solitude for too long.
Yeah, I'm an only child, living alone. I'm 37. Like, I've been living by myself most of my life. So every time
you met Oliver before, right, Jay?
I've never met Oliver, but I've heard a lot of Oliver stories, obviously.
So Oliver was
the old manager of TI.
Yeah, when we came to Portugal, and when I came to Portugal, he also came, and we hung out. We used to walk around the city for like 8 hours every day. Sometimes we wouldn't say a word to each other for like 4 hours. It was so funny, dude.
Wait, this is a good thing, though. Right?
No, we were chilling, bro. Like, it was great. It was like that silent man dude thing. Like, I don't need to say shit. You want some water? I just hand it to you.
Yeah.
It's like,
This is like the meme. Like, old friend you've never seen in years, best friend, and like, what do? You each have a beer, you're watching sports, not talking. It was the best night of my life.
It's funny how some of the best nights of my last 2 years have been with you, Kyle. And I have one night specifically in my mind that him, Josh, and I.
Can we put this on the podcast?
Yeah. And
okay.
We just went to Santa Monica to the.
We don't need the details, man. Yeah. It's okay.
So we went to the beach. They had a beer, and we were watching fluorescent plankton on the water.
Oh,
and it was nothing.
Oh,
it was just
cool.
sitting there and just
that's
walking on the beach.
That's not nothing. That's great. Yeah.
And I have that incredible memory because they didn't want to go, and I kind of tricked them into going, and then the world rewarded us with fluorescent plankton just moving when the waves were crushing. I'm like,
that's cool.
I was just telling Kyle. Sorry, I was just telling Kyle as well. I met a stranger on a bus towards LA, and we literally did, on my last day there, we literally did the same thing. Just walked by the beach for like 3-4 hours. That's it. I think it's about the place where I'm in as well. It's not necessarily like I'm a bit like opening up, living life like Kyle did. Like he was saying, like he was just traveling around and living this talent shit life, just living out of a suitcase. I worried way too much the last 3 years. Like I worried for everything a bit too much, and I'm just kind of pausing it for a bit so I can enjoy the walks and actually having coffee without worrying that I need to make money for some shit in like a year that's coming at me.
It's weird, but my like totem for this, like the Inception like totem that I try and keep in mind is just to try and like I've embraced mortality. Like we're all going to die, why will this matter to me? You know, what will this really have lasting meaning in my life? Like they used to tell Romans they'd win some grand war and they'd go down the promenade with like thousands and thousands cheering. And there was a guy whose job was to ride in the chariot next to them and say, "Memento mori," remember you will die. Like enjoy this because it is fleeting. And that's also what makes life so beautiful. That's why the gods were jealous of us in Greek mythology, because we have, as mortals, such a natural beauty in all the things that we do, because it's a limited amount of time with which we can experience this like massive planet with 9 billion people on it.